Hi everybody, I'm at Scampston Hall in North Yorkshire to see one of the biggest and most famous tribute bands in the world, the Bootleg Beatles. But I'm not just here to see them, I'm going to be going backstage and interviewing them before the gig as well. Let's just have a little look. There's Scampston Hall there. If I just turn around here, that's the stage that they're going to be playing on later. So I'm going to go and set up and interview them. While I do that, here's a short potted history of the band. The Bootleg Beatles were formed in 1980 by members of the cast of the London West End show Beatlemania. Two of the original members, Neil Harrison and Andre Barrio, stayed with the band for over 30 years before stepping aside, and they're now the managing directors of the Bootleg Beatles company. Maybe taking advice from John Lennon in 1964?
Why does it excite you so much?
We don't know, really. As we hear before when other groups can be managers.
Neil's a Scouser who met Paul McCartney in Christmas 1968 when he knocked on the door of Paul's dad's house as a carol singer. Fortunately, we have a photograph of Neil with Paul, who at this point would have just been a couple of weeks short of starting the Let It Be sessions. Andre's had a varied music career outside the Bootleg Beatles, including playing guitar on the monster smash hit Angels by Robbie Williams. The Bootleg Beatles spent the 1980s and the early part of the 90s building a loyal following before things started to get really big in the mid-90s. In 1996, Oasis chose the Bootleg Beatles as one of the support acts for the first day of the huge Nebworth concerts, playing to 125,000 people. The current members of the band are Tyson Kelly as John Lennon, Steve White as Paul McCartney, Stephen Hill playing George Harrison, and Gordon Elsmore behind the drum kit as Ringo Starr. The lads are desperate for a return to normal gigging life, as the diary is currently packed for 2020 and 2021 with UK and Europe dates. Right, I'm backstage with the Bootleg Beatles. We have Tyson, who's John Lennon. We've got Steve, who's Paul McCartney. We've got Stephen, as George Harrison. And we've got Gordon, as Ringo Starr.
I'm always the last.
Gordon's first. Thank you very much, guys, for talking to me. This is brilliant. This is quite a thrill for me. I've got a few questions for you that I wanted to ask you, some of which are ones that my viewers on YouTube have asked, and I sort of picked the best ones to throw at you, but a few of them are my own questions as well. Right. So, first of all, I just wanted to ask you about how lockdown has been for you without gigging. Has it been a pain in the backside, or has it been a nice little break?
Pros and cons?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, some of it's been a nice break.
Yeah.
I think because our schedule was so full on the run up to lockdown that kind of the first week or two, it was nice to have a little bit, because we were just about to start another tour. We were like 2 days off the next tour.
Right.
So the first couple of weeks I think have been a nice rest, but
about 2 months into it, I was like, all right, starting to kind of miss performing. Maybe we'll get that job back soon.
Well,
it's been like this.
It's August now. It's the end of August now, and we're probably only halfway through our lockdown.
Right.
It's not likely to start again for us for another 6 months. Maybe.
I think your autumn schedule's been a bit hit, hasn't it? Still.
Well, we're hoping that. We're hoping that we'll do something, but as time moves on, more and more stuff sort of fails, ebbing away.
Yeah.
So it might be really about 6 months before we actually take it, which is quite harsh. Really.
Well, fingers crossed you're back to it next year for definite, hopefully.
Yeah. I love the soundtrack of this live interview.
This is the support band are on stage now. They've just started, so that's what all the umpire is behind us.
It's great. You don't have to add music now.
No, brilliant. So I'm going to get the obvious question out of the way now. What are your favourite eras of the Beatles and songs to play? Let's get the obvious one out of the way.
Early years, Mop Top. I love that Beatlemania. You know, the early singles.
Yeah.
It's my favourite. You know what I mean? The suits, black suits, 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
Love that.
Brilliant.
It starts getting complicated after. You know what I mean?
I've got a question about that later.
Yeah, same. I love the early stuff. I think I like singing the early stuff better. It's just because they did it live earlier. So when you're doing it, for me at least, I can see John.
Because you're doing what they actually did,
it more accurately, as opposed to you have to kind of use your imagination as to what they would have done live after Sgt. Pepper when they just stopped kind of making any videos at all.
I think technically I like the later stuff. You know, for the technicality of it, it's very clever.
Yeah.
The way it's put put together. But I think I probably agree with these boys in the sense that the early stuff, I think a lot more people can relate to that early stuff.
Yeah.
And I think from a public point of view, it probably goes across to an audience better.
More energetic songs back then.
Yeah.
I mean, I prefer the middle Sgt. Pepper, Magical Mystery Tour, that psychedelic period.
Okay.
You did get some more cool drum fills in that era, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, that is true.
Ringo was doing some fun things in that period, wasn't he? Brilliant.
As well as drumming.
Steve, I've got a question for you specifically here. I understand that you're right-handed naturally, but you had to relearn playing the guitar left-handed to make it look authentic on stage.
Yeah,
That must have been an absolute git. I tried it a few days ago. I thought I'm going to try playing left-handed, and it was horrendous. Is there still anything that you struggle to do, or that you've had to leave out of the set because you just can't do it left-handed?
No, not now. I mean, sort of early day. I mean,
That's what you say.
as you know yourself, it's. I mean, it's even though you've got the knowledge, being a right-handed musician, even though you've got the knowledge of how and what to do with an instrument in your hand.
Yeah.
When you put it on left-handed, it's like back to basics.
just
It's
alien,
like none of it applies. So you've really got to work at it. So it wasn't a big struggle to start
But it
with.
was, yeah.
But over time, as with anything, I mean, the way I kind of I tret it within my psyche was there's people that they get sick and lose the use of their dominant hand through one reason or another, and they have to learn how to sign checks, whatever, with the left hand, and they have to overcome that difficulty. It is possible, so you've just got to persevere. So
Good
that's what I did.
attitude, yeah.
So it was a difficult one, but doable.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that. So, as well as the pressure of being the Beatles on stage and having to, I've got to be like George Harrison or I've got to be like Paul McCartney or whatever, the fact that the Bootleg Beatles have been going for 40 years now, does that bring a pressure as well that because you've got a lot of people who've been fans of the Bootleg Beatles for a few decades, and do you have that pressure as well?
Take it from me, I'm the newest guy to join, and about 2 years ago it was like, all right, you've got some boots to fill, not just Lennon's, but the guy before you was pretty good as well, and see what you can do, So it's been hard to adjust to that sort of thing, It's easy.
When you first start,
Very
there's a few months, isn't there, when you think you've got to win people over, you've got to win fans over. You've got to prove yourself.
The thing was the original guys were very good. I mean, you've got to appreciate that back then there wasn't the versions of recordings that we have at our beck and call now.
Yeah.
Back then they had probably mono recordings that they were having to learn things off, and sometimes some of those recordings can be very misleading as to what isn't played.
Right.
Obviously now on YouTube there's an abundance of remasters and isolated tracks and things that you can call upon. So we have a wealth of information.
So you can just get hold of the bass track with everything else.
Exactly.
With everything else
Whereas they
excluded.
didn't have that before.
Yeah.
So to put on the show that they did back then with compared,
Sorry, when he plays this back, all we're going to hear is that drum sound.
when they did it all those years ago with the crudeness of what they had to work with and everything, I mean, they were brilliant. And you've got a lot to live up to in order to keep that torch held high. I think.
Okay, cool. And how does being in this band affect your ability to be a Beatles fan, which I assume you must have all been, and to maybe sit down and listen to a Beatles record? Does it feel like work when you do it, or can you still be a fan and just enjoy listening to the music?
Still be a fan. It hasn't put me off Beatles at all.
I mean, I think fundamentally you've got to be a fan to do it in the first place. So we are fans anyway.
To do this, you have to have at one point loved the Beatles with all of your heart, been a huge fan. I think if I was going to go home and put on music, I wouldn't put on Hard Day's Night and listen to the singles, I would probably listen to the B-side, because we play the hits most. I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to them, but if one came on the radio, I wouldn't be annoyed by it. It's just, obviously, we still...
So you adapt to it.
I tend to find it comes in waves.
It does come in waves,
So I'll hear one song and then think, oh God, that it's so good. And then it'll make me listen to
because you
a
forget.
bunch of them because you just forget how great they were.
Yeah.
You know, doing them all the time. And
Yeah.
then something reopens your ears again, and you think, oh God. So and it comes in waves.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I'll go a long time without, and then all of a sudden indulge again.
Great.
That's right.
Okay, thank you. Well, I put a question on YouTube a few days ago asking people who watch my videos, what question would you like to ask a world famous Beatles tribute band if you could ask them one question, and I've picked out what I thought were the 3 best questions that I'd like to put to you, if that's okay.
Right.
So Dan Johnson, I picked your question.
All right, Dan. Nice to
Hey
see
Dan, how you going?
Dan said that his brother is in a Beatles tribute band and they've gone through phases doing the different eras. They tackled the later studio era, but they felt it wasn't worth the effort because the audience didn't really appreciate all the technicalities of it, and they tended to sort of shy away from that. So have you had a similar experience where you think this is a lot more in depth than what the audience are giving us credit for?
I want to start with this one because I have an opinion about this, because the late stuff, obviously they just stopped playing that high energy stuff.
Yeah.
Now, doesn't mean that the songs aren't great. They're exceptional songs, a lot of them. But when you play a slower tempoed song, when they've done their drug phase, whatever, their energies are lower, they're at a different point in their lives.
Yeah.
I think that the audience reaction, audibly, is going to just be golf claps. But
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily mean that the crowd didn't love
They
what
still
they heard.
appreciate it.
I think they
Yeah.
appreciate it. I think it's just hard to tell sometimes because
Yeah.
they're not going to go, woo, after something like Because. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be like, whoa.
Yeah.
that
And
was-
also,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
they weren't; those songs weren't intended to be performed live anyway.
that too.
You know, they weren't
So-
like things like From Me to You was a sort of
Yeah.
deliberate writing of a song for a stage audience. But yes, the latest stuff wasn't really intended to be performed live. But like Tyson says, that people will sit down and listen to it.
Okay.
As long as it sounds good.
We've done things like Mr. Kite, being for the benefit of Mr.
Yeah.
Kite. I mean, that's unbelievable.
It's tricky. That's tricky.
And again, you do get that. It's not like we say golf claps. That's a great way of saying it. That is, but you think, come on, man, it's worth more than that.
Yeah.
And some songs you just think they go over really well, and you just think.
Well, I
know what I
think on the whole, it brings me back to what I said earlier when we were talking about favourite eras. I think that the early period just seems to connect with an audience more.
Yeah.
So I think, by and large, most audiences aren't really that familiar with the back end of the Beatles' career.
Okay.
Most people really kind of tuned out once they stopped touring.
Yeah.
So I think that, you do get I would say in one of our shows, from a full house, I would say probably, 80% of the audience are what I consider to be casual Beatle fans.
Yes.
Yeah.
20% of them are probably diehards. So if you're doing those kind of songs to the 20% diehard, they would absolutely be blown away and love it.
Okay.
But I think the 80% would probably be scratching their heads thinking, I've never heard this before.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of I think it's just the familiarity. I don't think, a lot of people are that familiar with what the Beatles achieved in the back end of their career.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
We don't know the statistics, but hopefully they'll continue to grow as time goes on.
Brilliant.
Well, it is improving.
Yeah.
It is improving.
Okay. Well, I don't know whether that you might have sort of covered this next question. Next question is from Matt S. Thank you for your question, Matt.
Hey, Matt.
We may have answered this already, but it was, which song from the studio years has been the most challenging to recreate as a live performance? Is it Mr. Kite, or is it something maybe a bit more?
For sure.
It's one of those Sgt. Pepper ones. But then we do Dear Prudence quite a bit, and we've always found that a struggle because the harmonies. There's always.
I would say one of the hardest has got to be Sun King.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sun King was definitely very hard, and I Want You She's So Heavy is probably a bit tough because it's just stop, go, stop, go.
Most of Abbey Road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Abbey Road's a big challenge.
Because for you guys.
There's loads in there actually that you would shy away from if you weren't really serious.
Definitely, yeah. And the third and final question is from Anthony H.
Hey, Anthony, how's How's it going?
I know that Anthony's a young lad. I think he's about 16 and he's from Liverpool, so that's
Alright.
that's good.
That's great, though, you know. It's great.
Anthony's question was: have you ever considered? Well, that might be. Have you ever been allowed to? I don't know. Played some of the previously unreleased songs from anthology or more obscure covers, or would they be too obscure? I think I'd like to add to that if, for example, if you came out here tonight and played Three Cool Cats or The Sheik of Araby, I would absolutely flip out. Or do you have to keep it more mainstream?
The thing is, it's like when you do a Beatles set, you've got 2 hours at most.
Yeah.
And the Beatles have got so many songs, 250 songs, something like that they've played. And if you put something like, I don't know, Best of Me Mucho into it, you've got to Kick Out She Loves You or something like that. Do you know what I mean? And you can't get rid of.
You
can kick out Hey Jude.
Do that.
You get 15 songs in there.
You've got 2 hours of really, really well-known stuff.
Yeah.
And you're still not going to please everybody. There's always going to be stuff missing.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I think generally shows like this, you have to kind of dot along all the hits.
Yeah.
So that people are familiar with,
Of course,
because more often than not, the people out there will be a generic audience. I think those kind of things, they're absolutely fine when you're playing a dedicated, specific, Beatle event
Like
where
a
you've got
Beatles festival.
Yeah,
Or something,
when you've got a festival where you've got people who know the ins and outs of everything about them. That's the kind of stuff that goes down well at those places. But certainly for audiences like this, and on the whole, most audiences that we play to of this similar nature, it doesn't really. There's not really any call to do it because again, they wouldn't really necessarily know it.
Yeah, it's understandable.
But it is very, very cool. I mean, everything.
I think at some point we should play You Know My Name, Look Up the Number.
That'd be brilliant.
That would be awesome. Maybe not the entire song, but at least that really cool
Welcome
first
to
part.
Slaggers.
Yeah.
That'd be great. I'd love that. Yeah. Well, that's all the questions I had. So, thank you very much, guys. It's been brilliant talking to you. Thank you for taking the time.
Pleasure.
Really looking forward to the gig tonight, and I hope you're back gigging regularly soon. Because the audience deserve to see you more often than they've had a chance to this year. So, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Okay.
Brilliant. Lovely.
Can I just ask, who is the best drummer in the Beatles?
I'd say Gordon.
Next one.
It's nearly showtime now, just waiting for the band to appear, and we'll catch them going onto the stage for the gig.
Alright.
So shall I go and do my bit now?
Once we'll start There he is.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you very much.
Have a great gig. What sound set of guys they are. Really enjoyed the company.
So without further ado, let me introduce you to a band that I'm lucky enough to have worked with in Australia, New Zealand and Singapore. The Bootleg Beatles, the best in the world.
That's it, concert over, brilliant night. Thank you very much to the band for having a chat with me, I really appreciate that, and thank you very much for watching. See you again, bye bye.